I think there was an assumption being made for quite a while that girls didn't care about Star Wars, or that girls weren't identifying with characters like Luke Skywalker.
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame.
Well, thank God that bitch is going to leave. She better leave. So I thought I just expressed my thoughts on this whole Kathleen Kennedy thing, as she is finally leaving Star Wars. And yeah, I was originally planning to have some pictures to support my video and stuff, but one, just didn't have the time for it, or shall I say maybe I was too lazy, or just the fact that maybe most of you guys would just rather listen to this in your cars or while you're exercising or on your 9-to-5 job. So why not just express my thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy leaving? So Kathleen Kennedy became part of Star Wars as soon as Disney bought Star Wars back in 2012. And I'll admit it, I was one of those idiots that was initially excited for it, just because there hadn't been much Star Wars since George Lucas had just completed, it was episode 3 in 2005, and he did some of the Clone Wars, which personally I just didn't get into. Yep, shame on me. But then I just didn't realize, and I owe everyone an apology. I know you guys don't really know me that well, but I didn't really foresee how bad Disney was really going to ruin Star Wars. With all the resources they have, you would think that they were not going to screw it up. And then the first red flag that was shown in the first place was the expanded universe was absolutely just purged at around 2014, where that means, yep, all the expanded universe, you remember about Kyle Katarn, all the stuff from the Old Republic, all the video games that you remembered, like Dark Forces, Star Wars TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TAR Fighter. Did I say Dark Forces already? All of that was just absolutely not good. It was going to be decanonized, so they rebranded it as Legends. Credit to Disney, though. At least they didn't just completely wreck it apart and just completely delete everything, like the stories like the Thrawn trilogy and all of that. Like, what about Mara Jade and all of that? But yeah, they got rid of that. So that was the first red flag. Then we go to Star Wars Force Awakens, and I don't know. When I first watched it, I thought it was somewhat watchable, but then when you watched again years later, you're just like, you can't even watch it. You just can't. But at least it was still salvageable. Like Poe Dameron, Finn, they were at least decent characters. General Hux was decent, so they could like work through it. And then that Luke Skywalker was still hanging around, but I hated it that he was barely part of Force Awakens, so they basically made him into a tease for Last Jedi. But it still could have been salvaged. I was like, okay, fine, we'll wait. But then, of course, Han Solo dies. Ugh. So now that's already the dreams of seeing Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker all in one scene. That's already dead. But to be fair, that was more of a Harrison Ford thing. But even then, you should have put Luke Skywalker initially in the first movie. But then we go to Rogue One. No, don't get me wrong. That one was a good movie under Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think she had really much to do with it. But at least she signed off on it, I guess. But I thought that was a good movie. It was really fast-paced. It was really good. The writing was decent. At least characters had no plot armor, so it was at least realistic. I liked it. My only nitpicker was that Donnie Yen should have been given a lightsaber, because if he really believed in being a Jedi, then why didn't he have a lightsaber? You had one job, Rogue One. And what's with the X-Wing shooting down the Imperial walkers? I don't know. Then this is where things got bad. We get to Last Jedi, and this is where Kathleen Kennedy was showing her true colors, and I remember how much Mark Hamill was expressing his doubt, and Kathleen Kennedy pretty much just shut it down. And yeah, that movie was bad. It was full of woke. It was full of, there was too much Rey, too much Rose. They pretty much made Poe Dameron look like this toxic masculinity guy, which I really hated. I mean, it actually made me love the character even more. So good job, Disney, trying to promote toxic masculinity. That it's not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's just men being men. Nothing wrong with that. And then what about Princess Leia floating in space? Oh, bad. And then what about the fact that Luke Skywalker died? That was like the most insulting part of the whole thing, and they made him look like a loser, like he was even more of a loser than the exiled Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, at least they still held out hope. Luke was like, nah, it's over, man. There's nothing we can do. Jedi suck. It's like, why were we getting this Luke Skywalker? What about the Legends one where he was like an actual badass Jedi Master, Jedi Master? So yeah, that movie was bad. Luke Skywalker's dead. And then we go to Rise of Skywalker. I don't really think I have to go much into that, but it was just really, really, really bad. It was horrible. Just absolute garbage. Like, it was just very unwatchable. And it was just it was funny in a bad way. You see Millennium Falcons doing their light speed skippings. You got Rey being another Palpatine, basically shooting lightning. Yeah, it was just bad. I don't want to go much into it because it just makes me sick. Now, the only redeeming parts was Mandalorian. First 2 seasons, Grogu, such a cutie. Mandalorian, the writing was actually pretty decent. Now, it didn't necessarily get me fully back into Star Wars, but it was like, okay, it was at least decent. And the first 2 seasons were really good. And then they had to fire Gina Carano because Kathleen Kennedy and her wokeness had to get in the way. I mean, it was all over an Instagram post. And now, because of that, Gina Carano sued Disney, and I hope Disney does burn in hell for that. But then there was also Boba Fett. I gave it a chance. First few episodes were good, but then it turned into Mandalorian 2.5, and now we know that they're just milking the hell out of that IP, Mandalorian. It should have ended after season 2. And then this is where things get worse. Obi-Wan, where they really made that Inquisitor, that lady Inquisitor, they really tried her to make it a big thing and try to protect her. Like, if anyone dared to criticize her, they're racist. No, she was just a bad written character. That's all. So after Obi-Wan, I pretty much give up. Because of that, I didn't even watch Andor, didn't even watch Ahsoka, obviously didn't even watch Acolyte. All bad, except I heard Andor was good, and I haven't given it a chance. I should, but I'm just not interested in giving Disney any kind of attention because of all the woke agenda they've been doing for all these years. They've been doing it for years, and their product has been garbage. It's all been a bunch of re-release garbage, like turning Lion King into the real-life thing. And same thing with Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid. And then Acolyte was like their prime of their wokeness. Garbage. And don't want to go too much in the movies anymore because I've already did. But what about EA? What about the fact that Disney allowed EA to be in charge with the gaming? And it got so bad to the point that now it's split between Ubisoft and EA. And EA with their atrocities with Battlefront 2, all were just garbage games. And then Squadron was just not even that good either. Oh, like this whole microtransaction bullshit. Excuse me for my language. I'm really sorry, but it was just really, really bad. And because of that, I refuse to play the games. And now as a Star Wars fan, I'm literally just hanging on to the expanded universe, the Legends content, and I still play the old Star Wars games like Rogue Squadron, TIE Fighter, Jedi Knight Outcast. All the other EA games, I just won't do it because I just don't want to give them their money. Now, granted, I bought all those games on Steam, so of course I gave EA the money, but I did not at least give them money for the new games they made. So maybe me buying all these Legends stuff will actually get them to understand that the Legends stuff is actually better. The story is well written. Now, for the future of Star Wars, what do I see? I don't really have much hope for it. I think they're still going to do the same garbage. Bob Iger, you can't really trust him. He's probably just going to hire some other sap. That's going to make it even worse, probably, because they're not going to do anything with the Legends content. Like, the thing I've been asking for years is to give me a Thrawn trilogy. But no, they won't do that. They won't do any of that. So in the future, I really don't have any hope. I'm glad that Kathleen Kennedy is gone. I don't have to hear her say a bunch of stupid crap. But I'm just done with it. Like, I'm just absolutely done. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I just want to say thank you for letting me let it out of my systems. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit notification. I know I didn't really put any pictures this time because it was just going to be a lot of work to put a lot of videos and editing into that. I know it sounds unprofessional, but at least you hear my voice. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, and may the Force be with you.